Not sure you've noticed, but ever since the Industrial Revolution, humans have been putting excessive amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere via our cars, airplanes, factories, and power plants. And it turns out this is not good. It raises the Earth's average temperature. And that does all sorts of bad things to our climate that make it harder to survive.
Even just a little smidge in one direction.
Even just a little bit.
Yeah.
And despite all of the attention that this topic gets nowadays, it's not really a surprise. Scientists were sounding the alarm about this over 100 years ago. And the fossil fuel industry knew that they were endangering the climate as early as the 1950s. Now, it would have been great if steps were taken to mitigate this mess a few decades sooner. But unfortunately, this didn't become something that governments actually care about until nearly the point of no return.
So we have ourselves a situation where things need to change quickly. Energy sources need to be cleaner and more renewable. Machines need to be more efficient with their power consumption. And in general, we just need to weigh the costs of energy consumption with its potential benefits. Which is why it's sort of maddening that right as things seem to be very gradually moving in the right direction, the tech industry seems dead set on consuming unimaginable amounts of electricity on technology whose benefits are at this point dubious at best, unless you're a shareholder. Unless you're a shareholder, then it's
pretty cool
like,
if you're a shareholder.
It's just
Trust me.
The injection that this company needed.
Yeah.
First came the so-called Web 3.0. Well, that played out perfectly, right? We're all part of the 3.0 experience.
A lot of
now.
y'all still don't get it. You can use 2 slurp juices on 1/8.
No, when you combine Web 1.0 and 2.0, you get 3.0.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously Web 3.0 came and went, crypto and NFTs and all that other crap. And right when it seemed the Earth was safe from being cooked to death in service of hideous monkey JPEGs, generative AI burst upon the scene and kicked off a whole new energy-guzzling arms race.
Yay.
Uh-huh.
So on Friday, both Bloomberg and the Washington Post published reporting specifically about the energy demands of the AI boom. And it's hard to look at the raw facts here and come away feeling anything but frustration. What are we doing? Here's from Bloomberg's article. The almost overnight surge in electricity demand from data centers is now outstripping the available power supply in many parts of the world, according to interviews with data center operators, energy providers, and tech executives. That dynamic is leading to years-long waits for businesses to access the grid, as well as growing concerns of outages and price increases for those living in the densest data center markets. The dramatic increase in power demands from Silicon Valley's growth-at-all-costs approach to AI also threatens to upend the energy transition plans of entire nations and the clean energy goals of trillion-dollar tech companies. In some countries, including Saudi Arabia, Ireland, and Malaysia, the energy required to run all the data centers they plan to build at full capacity exceeds the available supply of renewable energy, according to a Bloomberg analysis of the latest available data.
By one official estimate, Sweden could see power demand from data centers roughly double over the course of this decade, and then double again by 2040. In the UK, AI is expected to suck up 500% more energy over the next decade. And in the US, data centers are projected to use 8% of total power by 2030, up from 3% in 2022, according to Goldman Sachs, which described it as the kind of electricity growth that hasn't been seen in a generation. In the US, power demand is expected to grow by 40% over the next 2 decades, compared with just 9% growth over the past 20 years, according to John Ketchum, Chief Executive Officer at NextEra Energy, Inc., the world's biggest builder of wind and solar energy that isn't backed by a government. Data centers are the biggest reason for that demand boom, Ketchum said, citing electrification and manufacturing as other factors. Asked why data centers were suddenly sucking up so much power, his answer was blunt. It's AI, he said, citing the energy needs for training models and also the inference process by which AI draws conclusions from data it hasn't seen before. It's 10 to 15 times the amount of electricity. And those numbers are crazy because we went through a huge technological boom in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And for the overall consumption rates to be a percentage that is nothing compared to what it takes to process AI images.
Like actual, like just net energy consumption has been flat for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is the result of mostly like making products more energy efficient.
Yes.
You know, over that time period, people have switched to energy efficient fridges, air conditioners, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
we've done a lot of work, baby,
as population has increased. Energy consumption has stayed flat. And now for the first time in decades, it's like, haha, just kidding. We're going to be using more of that.
And for what?
Yeah, exactly. It's maddening.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going insane.
What is specifically anger-inducing about this is this all, like, at least the biggest parts of it started kicking off with the NFT stuff in like 2021 or whatever, 2022.
Yeah.
And it's just so upsetting because when the first COVID lockdown happened and everyone in the whole world went inside,
nature is healing.
It was, you were seeing some of the most beautiful images ever. Nature had reclaimed what had been stolen from it. Rivers were beautiful again.
Yeah, LA, I was like, is this what the Tongva Indians saw? Because it's beautiful. I wish it could stay like this. Nope. So you can't.
Even our generation got one last glimpse at how things could be if we treated the earth with just a little more respect.
Yeah, we all got a taste of that and decided, nah.
Let's do the other thing.
Yeah.
In fact, let's do it worse.
Let's fuck it up. So anyway, the Bloomberg piece, it mainly focuses on the way that AI is just devouring the global supply of energy, clean or otherwise. But the Washington Post article focuses a little more on the effect that all of this sudden increased demand is having on our shift towards greener energy sources. Basically, in the short term, it means expanding fossil fuel usage at a time when we really don't need that. But hey, don't worry, folks. That's just a brief hiccup before we figure out fusion energy. And then it'll all be fine.
Which is great. What a great goal to have. But in the meantime, why are you eating up every other
No, you don't understand.
source?
It'll all be fine when we discover fusion.
Yeah.
So from the Washington Post article, the mighty Columbia River has helped power the American West with hydroelectricity since the days of FDR's New Deal. But the artificial intelligence revolution will demand more. Much more. So near the river's banks in central Washington, Microsoft is betting on an effort to generate power from atomic fusion, the collision of atoms that powers the sun, a breakthrough that has eluded scientists for the past century. Physicists predict it will elude Microsoft too. The tech giant and its partners say they expect to harness fusion by 2028, an audacious claim that bolsters their promises to transition to green energy but distracts from current reality. In fact, the voracious electricity consumption of artificial intelligence is driving an expansion of fossil fuel use, including delaying the retirement of some coal-fired plants.
And like we said, fusion energy would be great.
Yeah, that would be sick.
It would truly solve a ton of our climate change problems at a very crucial time. But as we have to remind ourselves anytime the topic of fusion comes up, this is a breakthrough that has consistently been just a few years away for several decades. And the consensus among scientists who don't have a financial stake in it is that it's not something we should really hold our breath for. And even if fusion energy is solved in the next few years, it would still take years or even decades to build up the infrastructure for it to meaningfully replace fossil fuels. So even in the best case scenario, we're looking at several years of AI data farms keeping coal plants in business. Which is odd considering how serious the big tech companies claim to be about renewable energy. With Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta all having promised to be emissions-free by 2030.
We'll catch up with that later.
We'll get back to you on it.
Yeah.
We're going to solve it in 2028.
We got fusion in 2028, so then, yeah.
Easy peasy. We've never broken a timeline promise before.
Mm-mm.
No, sir. Back to the article.
If we all work together, we can unlock AI's game-changing abilities to help create the net zero, climate-resilient, and nature-positive works that we so urgently need, Microsoft said in a statement in front of a giant cloud of smoke.
Yeah, just like, what? What?
The tech giants say they buy enough wind, solar, or geothermal power every time a big data center comes online to cancel out its emissions. But critics see a shell game with these contracts. The companies are operating off the same power grid as everyone else, while claiming for themselves much of the finite amount of green energy. Utilities are then backfilling those purchases with fossil fuel expansions, regulatory filings show. Amazon says it has been the world's largest corporate purchaser of renewable energy for 4 straight years. Google wrote that it is using AI to accelerate climate action, which is just as crucial as solving for the environmental impact associated with it. As for Microsoft, the company said that by 2030, we will have 100% of our electricity consumption 100% of the time matched by zero carbon energy purchases. Left unmentioned are the heavily polluting fossil fuel plants that become necessary to stabilize the power grid overall because of these purchases, making sure everyone has enough electricity.
So they're buying their electricity from renewable sources, but they're also using way more electricity than before because of AI. So the renewable energy isn't actually replacing fossil fuel energy. The power grid is so strained by all this new demand that even fossil fuel sources that were scheduled to be phased out are now essential for providing power to everyone else. And this is especially frustrating because in the 21st century, electricity demand in the US basically, as we said, flatlined after growing massively in the 20th century. Our problem, at least here in the US, was essentially just replacing fossil fuel sources with renewable sources. But now, thanks to these tech companies, the problem is not only replacing fossil fuels, but also increasing the power supply as well. And again, for what? Don't get us wrong. It's got to put the asterisk there.
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely great use cases for AI in scientific fields and other technical niches. But that is not what these companies are pitching. They are pitching a world where AI is in everything and every person uses AI constantly for business and pleasure. And that's just bullshit. It's a solution in search of a problem. There was a tweet going around very famously this past week that was like, I hope you all turned your ACs off and have been doing this and this. Meanwhile, someone's Googling the image of a woman with 5 breasts.
Yeah.
And it's offsetting everything that you personally have done. Also, in a very potentially, well, not funny situation, but I could see them currently laying down the rakes with which they are about to step upon, is Texas, who has their own power grid and is just begging.
Yeah, no, a bunch of these companies are going to Texas, which I
hope ERCOT is ready for this.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, I think Northwest Texas does have pretty good renewable infrastructure. So you get a lot of wind.
Yeah.
And probably some solar and shit too. But it's yeah, good luck the next time hell freezes over, which increasingly seems to be happening.
Hell does freeze over every winter. It's called Texas.
It's called Texas.
Yes, they are currently laying down the rakes with which they will step.
Yeah. Anyways, one of the many key problems that AI is a solution for is humans having jobs and being compensated for their labor. Ugh.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Mm.
Now, this is obviously not a very appealing pitch for people who like having a job and being compensated for it. But luckily, at least for now, AI's capabilities for replacing human workers aren't all that they're cracked up to be. Case in point, McDonald's. They got real sick and tired of paying human beings minimum wage just for the mundane task of asking customers what they want to eat and then listening to what they say and then punching that into a computer. So they decided, hey, that's a job that's so easy a robot could do it. But they were wrong. Here's the New York Times.
In the nearly 3 years since McDonald's announced that it was partnering with IBM to develop a drive-thru order taker powered by artificial intelligence, videos popped up on social media showing confused and frustrated customers trying to correct comically inaccurate meals. Stop! 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 2 friends screamed with humorous anguish on a TikTok video as an AI drive-thru misunderstands their order, tallying up 240, 250, and then 260 chicken McNuggets. In other videos, the AI rings up a customer for 9 iced teas instead of 1, fails to explain why a customer could not order Mountain Dew, and thought another wanted to add bacon to his ice cream. So when McDonald's announced in a June 13th internal email obtained by the trade publication Restaurant Business that it was ending its partnership with IBM and shutting down its AI tests at more than 100 US drive-thrus, customers who had interacted with the service were probably not shocked. This is the AI is doing one half of the work from the I think you should leave sketch. Because it's just a normal person, but it's ringing up the 55 burgers.
I'm sorry, did you say you wanted 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 milkshakes, 55 tacos, 100... yeah.
And you're like, no, stop. And it says, shut up, I'm doing something.
Yeah, I'm doing something! Now, unfortunately, a bunch of other fast food chains are still implementing AI drive-thru technology, and we would not put it past McDonald's to give this another try, partnering with a different AI company whose product is maybe more reliable. Because God forbid you pay someone the equivalent of 1 Big Mac combo per hour to get people's orders right. Oh my God.
Also, I'm 75 years old and I go there to just talk. Yeah. I pull into that drive-thru for a conversation with a human being.
How are things going for you today?
Sir, can you please pull through?
I'm so lonely. But in other AI news, AI-generated music has, at the very least, produced some entertaining comedy.
Sure.
Though the returns are very, very diminishing.
Yeah.
But like AI art and AI writing, it is built entirely on the works of the very human artists that it aims to replace. It's gotten less attention for this than the images and the text have due to hitting the market a little bit later and getting relatively less attention. But a new lawsuit filed against 2 AI music generators has revealed just how derivative AI music really is. Here's 404 Media.
Some of the world's largest record labels sued both Udio and Suno, 2 of the most popular AI music generators, accusing them of not only scraping huge amounts of music without permission or compensation, but also of directly reproducing sections of famous songs in the AI music they generate. The lawsuits state that, given that the foundation of its business has been to exploit copyrighted sound recordings without permission, Udio and Suno has been deliberately evasive about what exactly it has copied. This is unsurprising. After all, to answer that question honestly would be to admit willful copyright infringement on an almost unimaginable scale. It is obvious what Udio's service is trained on. Udio copied plaintiffs' copyrighted sound recordings en masse and ingested them into its AI model. The lawsuits embedded below continue. The most interesting part of the lawsuits is that the record labels claim that they were able to repeatedly replicate versions of incredibly famous songs that they hold the copyright to, and many of these are included and linked to in the lawsuit. A sample of them is shown here alongside the prompts in a video I made from specific examples in the lawsuits.
And yeah, so this is kind of crazy. So with AI images and text, we've seen examples of how, entering the right prompt can get it to spit out basically a carbon copy of a copyrighted work.
Mm-hmm.
And the same is true with music, but it's way more strange. So some of these results, they are too close to the originals. We cannot even play them for you here because we'll probably get dinged.
Yeah, if not the original copyright holder, then the AI companies.
But yeah, they're not literally the original recordings. It's more like the AI ingested a ton of data points about the original recordings and then recreated them from scratch. So, for example, the prompt Mariah Carey with spaces in between all letters, contemporary R&B, holiday, Grammy award-winning American singer-songwriter, remarkable vocal range, spits out a bootleg version of All I Want for Christmas Is You that has all the elements of the original, just slightly different. It's like a cover song that's missing the heart and soul of the original, because it literally is.
AI is taking the jobs away from our humble cover bands that play at every bar and grill in America.
Yeah, what about them?
Yeah.
But yeah, the key takeaway here is that entering a pretty vague prompt didn't produce a new original AI-generated song. It just produced a copy of one of the most popular songs of all time.
Yeah, whether the record labels have much of a case here is still unclear. They own copyrights to recordings, but compositions and lyrics are usually a different story. Suno and Udio will mount a fair use defense, and the law still hasn't figured out what exactly fair use means in the age of generative AI. If nothing else, if these cases proceed, the discovery process should be interesting. So, throw them on the pile. It's an ever-growing pile of copyright lawsuits that these generative AI companies have generated.
It's the one thing they've been truly successful at.
Yeah,
keeping lawyers employed.
There was another one recently where it wasn't music, but it was like, you're looking at it and you're like, that's the style, but a little bit different. There was like the Ansel Adams family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the family of, famed photographer, the late Ansel Adams, found that, I think it was Adobe stock, was letting people tag their pictures as Ansel Adams. Mm-hmm. Like clearly AI-generated pictures, too.
Yeah.
And they got very upset. And I think they have the clout to actually be like, what the fuck do you think you're doing?
Yeah. But that's enough AI news for today.
Thank God.
Yeah. Let's move on to some news about just how much the average American desk job worker hates the idea of going to the office after getting a taste of the work-from-home life during the pandemic. We got to see clear water in the rivers. Yeah. We got to see what it was like to have a positive work-life balance. And unfortunately, big business has just ripped both of those away.
Yeah.
Immediately.
We can't have our workers feeling well-rested and comfortable.
Yeah.
No way.
Breathing in clean air and drinking fresh water. Yeah. Here's Business Insider.
Remote working is the new norm for many white-collar workers, but their bosses still aren't on board. Rather than accept the shift in working culture, some employers have resorted to strict mandates and punitive policies to get employees back in the office. Dell has been trying its best to do the same. In February, the tech giant introduced a return-to-office mandate, telling workers to formally classify themselves as either hybrid or remote. Those who chose remote are no longer eligible for promotion or able to change roles. Meanwhile, hybrid workers must come into the office 39 days a quarter, roughly 3 days a week, and their attendance is monitored using a color-coded system. Several months after this RTO policy was announced, it appears it hasn't worked. Close to 50% of Dell's full-time workers in the U.S. have opted to stay remote.
And why wouldn't they?
According to internal data on the entire full-time workforce seen by Business Insider. Unless they agree to change their classification, those U.S. Dell workers are now ineligible for promotion.
So half of Dell's employees decided that never ever getting promoted was a fair trade-off to never having to go to the office.
Sure, sounds great.
And employees Business Insider spoke to offer very obvious reasons for making that choice. Going to the office means a huge chunk of your time is spent in a car and not doing things you'd rather do with people that you would rather see, like friends or kids or family or anything. Commuting also means spending money on gas, and in a lot of cases, spending money on takeout for lunch. And to also go off of that, just wear and tear on your car.
Yeah.
And just everything else.
There's a lot of costs associated with going to work.
So going back to the office basically translates to making less money anyway. So it kind of offsets itself.
Are you going to pay for my gas?
No.
Okay, well then I'll just stay home.
The ones who have gone back to the office say that much of their time at work is still spent on Zoom calls, which is something they could just as easily do at home.
Yeah.
The consensus also seems to be that Dell doesn't really promote much anyway, so there's not much missed opportunity here. Oh, I'm sorry, did you set that precedent for yourself anyway?
Yeah.
None of us expected the promotions, and now we get to work from home. Great job, Dell. Among the employees who actually do care about getting promoted, this seems to be their cue to find a new job at a company that doesn't exclusively offer career advancement to people who show up at a physical office.
So great job, Dell.
Yeah. But we're your family too. Don't you want to come see your work family?
Come on, you're getting a Dell, dude.
Dude, they're going to hell.
I'm kind of, they do make Alienware, right? I feel like that's got to be like most of their business at this point.
No, it's probably the most boring thing possible.
Yeah,
which is
it's
just
like fucking servers or something.
Yeah, that or like computers for municipalities.
Yeah.
Like every
It's a $300 computer that has like half a gig of RAM.
Yeah.
And it runs Microsoft Word.
You don't understand. We need a computer that runs Microsoft 95 or Windows 95.
Yeah.
We've never upgraded, but we have a system that works. So we need a company that is brave enough to ship us outdated computers.
All of our logistics software for every ship in the world.
Yeah. Every airplane
runs on a fucking floppy disk. And we need a new computer.
And also, if we could get a side order of those printers that have like
dot matrix one?
Dot matrix. To peel the edges off of.
Yeah. That shit is loud as fuck.
They still use that at airports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's reliable.
That's right.
I don't blame them, especially with printers. Like, I mean, LaserJet, pretty good. Yeah. Inkjet, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I have an inkjet. But I don't use it enough for it to like suck.
Oh my God. I don't know if I've ever told this story. We had an inkjet printer, like a cheap one.
Yeah.
It was like $40, $50. And like one day I just hit my breaking point. Like I really needed something printed and I fucking smashed it on the ground.
Office Space style?
Yeah. Like, after just like dealing with this bullshit for too long. And then I drove straight to Costco and bought like a $350 like small like office printer
did you get
scanner.
A brother?
Or
That's
no,
what I have.
I got a Canon.
Okay.
So it's got a scanner, it's got a fax machine, and I've changed the ink. I don't think I've ever changed the ink on it. It's been like 4 or 5 years.
I love my combo scanner printer.
Yeah.
It's a good tool to have if you ever need it.
It's very useful.
Especially the scanner. Oh my God. I can't believe how much stuff I'm scanning.
You never realize how many things you need to scan.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like just cool things that I want to have in my like little artist folder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old Time magazine.
Sometimes you're like, hey, what happens if I sit on this?
I use it to check my grundle.
I can't afford a proctologist.
No,
this
sir.
This is the best I got.
No.
But moving on now. Uh-oh. Yep. It's Elon time.
We saw Cybertruck on the way in today.
We did, and it did not look good.
It looked gross. It had fingerprints all over it.
Just grubby little oily fingerprints on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see all the scrub marks from when they tried to wash it.
And for as big as it is, it seems very small on the inside. And like what it can do versus how big of a space it takes
very
up.
Inefficient use of size.
Yeah, because it's not a big car. It just looks really big and dumb.
Yeah. So time to talk about Elon. Actually, wait, no. Let's talk about our favorite supporting character in Elon Musk's X saga. That's right. It's Linda time. Hot dog.
Hot dog. It is hot dog season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, ever since Linda Yaccarino signed on as Twitter's new CEO 1 year ago, we have been fascinated by so many things about her. But mainly we've wondered how long it would take before she and Elon could not stand each other. And honestly, she has lasted longer than we would have ever guessed.
And also kind of remained, much like Barron, not exactly like that, but kind of a blank slate, which is very interesting for a person in this role in this company.
Yeah.
Like the hot dog stuff is just like, she just seems like the most bland.
Yeah.
Like all of her tweets are like, wine on a Sunday.
It all
Me and my
happens on
sisters.
X.
Like it's yeah.
So how much longer can she last at Twitter? It has been a year.
Yeah, so.
Well, here's the Financial Times this week.
Linda Yaccarino has shaken up her inner circle at X as she faces pressure from Elon Musk to boost sales and cut costs, a year after she became chief executive. Yaccarino fired her right-hand man and head of business operations and communications, Joe Benarock, this month, said 3 people familiar with the matter. Among other things, Yaccarino held Benarock responsible for bungling the rollout of the platform's new adult content policy by failing to tell clients of the changes before it became public. 2 ex-employees said.
He bungled it.
Taking over Benarock's responsibilities will be Global Government Affairs head Nick Pickles. I'm sorry to whoever this guy is, but
Pickles.
Holy shit.
Hey, it's me, Nick Pickles.
Nicholas Pickles. Pickle Nick. We got Pickle Nick.
I bet that's where Elon hired him.
Hey, get Pickle Nick in here. He'll fix everything.
He went in for the interview and Elon's just like not feeling it, and then Nick Pickles, he's like, I gotta throw this Hail Mary. I'm Pickle Nick, and Elon just falls out of his chair laughing. You're hired.
He didn't stop laughing for hours.
Yeah, do it again. Hey Nick, do it again.
Get the whole company in here. So okay, taking over the responsibilities, some guy named Nick Pickles, who Global Government Affairs, which it's what a great icebreaker it is. If
Mr.
You're in
Pickles.
Which is also a show. Yeah. There's a lot going on. But his role has temporarily been expanded to include directing all global communications, the people said. And
get me Pickles.
How are you going to get mad at a person named Nick Pickles?
Yeah, you can't.
It's a very strategic
completely disarms
move.
you.
Yeah.
Nick Pickles here. I forgot what I was mad about.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem so.
We were really
anymore.
upset about all of the porn on the front page that our ads were running against, but he seemed like a good guy.
Anyway, they go on to talk about the latest example of Elon Musk treating his various distinct companies as if they're not distinct entities. This time, Elon brought over the CEO of the Boring Company to do a bunch of stuff at X that seems like the kind of stuff that a CEO would do. Which apparently has Linda a little bit worried. And is also very funny because the Boring Company is such a useless, pointless company that the CEO of it can just move into the Twitter offices for months on end and nothing changes.
We're making an X Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Just to market. It's not a real Gatling gun, but, it's fun.
It shoots Elon's sperm.
Into any willing, apparently just employees.
Just anyone,
Yeah, he has a fetish for lawsuits and his own employees.
But yeah, for now, Linda's job does appear to be safe. And she and Elon were over in Cannes this week at an advertising convention, trying to win back the favor of all the brands that abandoned advertising on Twitter and stayed away when Elon publicly told them to go fuck themselves. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Here's CNBC.
Elon Musk on Wednesday tried to walk back remarks lashing out at advertisers fleeing his X social media platform. At the Cannes Lions Advertising Festival in Cannes, France, Musk was asked by WPP CEO Mark Reed what he meant by telling advertisers threatening to pull ads from the platform late last year to go fuck yourself.
What did you mean by that?
Musk said it was meant as a general point on free speech rather than a comment to the wider advertising industry. It wasn't to advertisers as a whole, Musk said. It was with respect to freedom of speech. I think it is important to have a global free speech platform where people from a wider range of opinions can voice their views. In some cases, there were advertisers who were insisting on censorship, Musk said. At the end of the day, if we have to make a choice between censorship and losing money, or censorship and money, or free speech and losing money, we're going to choose the second.
Those 3 things.
Yeah.
So
Also,
the second one is censorship and money.
Yeah, both, I guess.
I don't know what I made.
Intentionally obtuse phrasing from a guy who probably doesn't know what he's talking about anyway.
Yeah, a guy who, more than anyone else, could do with some media training.
Yeah, because he kind of, before he got into little additions there at the end, he kind of was just saying the same thing over again. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I didn't tell them to go fuck themselves. I did tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I told them to go fuck themselves if they want to censor anything on the platform, which could be murder, pornography.
Yeah.
So if they don't want that next to their ads, they can go fuck themselves. But I didn't tell you, Mark Reed in particular.
You don't understand. The advertisers that still want to advertise on Twitter, I would never tell them to go fuck themselves. Yeah. Just the ones that don't want to advertise on Twitter. So there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just to clarify, the advertisers were very clear at the time that what they objected to was a measurable rise in overt, unmoderated hate speech on the platform that was in many cases being algorithmically boosted by the verification system, resulting in their ads appearing above or below posts that under Twitter's previous administration would have been removed for breaking the rules. You can describe that as censorship, but you can also describe it as advertisers very understandably not wanting to be associated with neo-Nazis. But speaking of ways that Elon is helping to ensure his social media platform stays broke, this week, he has apparently decided on a whim, just on a whim, to open himself up to being sued by CNN for blatant copyright violation. Asked by Tim Pool whether live streams of Thursday's presidential debate would get DMCA'd, Musk replied, "The public has a right to see presidential debates however they would like. DMCA does not apply."
I mean,
that's not how DMCA works.
But on a certain level, I do agree with him.
No, I think this is cool. You'll be able to watch pirate streams of the debate on Twitter.
Yeah.
And Elon will be the one that foots the bill when CNN inevitably sues him for it because he gave you all the clues. Like, it would have been one thing if he just turned a blind eye. But I think overtly just saying we're going to, if CNN comes asking us to take things down, we're just going to ignore them.
Yeah, he had plausible deniability. He just threw it out the window willingly.
That's the thing is when YouTube added Content ID early on, it was because they kept getting cease and desist letters from entertainment companies, but they never got sued over it because there was plausible deniability.
Yeah.
That as long as they after the fact went did something about it, it was fine. The companies weren't going to take them to
he's
court.
Preemptively telling people to do it.
We are doing copyright infringement on purpose. Also, I can help my friend Tim Pool.
First of all, yes, do it. Also, I do agree with him that this should be available.
Yeah.
Something like this shouldn't be held by a private company.
Well, the thing is,
a presidential debate should be on every channel, not every channel, but it should be widely disseminated.
The thing is, it is.
Yeah.
CNN
they're sponsoring it. It's not.
Yeah, they're sponsoring it, and it's showing there's 10 different channels. It's on basic. It's also going to be easily available on various online platforms. It's just, and I'm actually, Twitter could have probably reached out to them a few months back and arranged. I don't even think they would have required money. I think CNN's only stipulation is that their logo appears on screen.
Yeah.
But there's 4 people that work at the entire company now, so they just didn't think of it. They probably could have done this the right way. Yeah. So this is very funny.
I think of, because everybody votes. So I think of the people who are not savvy or old and trying to legitimately watch the presidential debate and be it's just there's so much where you're it used to come on ABC, Fox, or ABC, CBS, and NBC. Yeah. Now I got to go figure out where all this. It's no, if it's a presidential, not a town hall or whatever. If it's a presidential fucking debate, it needs to be on ABC, NBC.
I mean, I think it is.
Okay, cool.
It's on one of those.
All right. Well, that's good.
It's on many different channels.
Good.
So it's just not on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because
I love his idea. I think it's a great idea. And I think maybe Tim Pool should throw his hat in the ring to be the person that rebroadcasts it, since he has put the statement out there that he is wanting to do a potential crime. That, sure. Whatever. This great for everyone, I say.
Yeah. But switching gears now to Tesla. Yup, it's Cybertruck time.
Vroom, vroom, or vroom, vroom.
And it's been a bad week for the world's ugliest and most broken vehicle. For starters, over in Florida, someone vandalized 34 brand new Cybertrucks with a spray paint tag reading, "Fuck Elon," on each and every one of them. But the vandal may have actually done Tesla a favor, because anyone who had driven off in one of those Cybertrucks would have had to turn around and bring it right back a few days later due to a recall. Sorry, did I say recall? I meant recalls, plural, 2 recalls.
Yes.
We got 2 recalls this week, folks. The first recall is due to the Cybertruck's single windshield wiper, which is gigantic at 62 inches long, and apparently is too big for the tiny little motor powering it, and it's therefore it's prone to failure at the worst possible times too. You ever wonder why cars have 2 windshield wipers instead of 1? Well, thank you, Elon, for showing us why. Here's one of many testimonials from CybertruckOwnersClub.com about the windshield wiper.
I picked up on Tuesday in Florida and left and made it 20 miles and it started raining. Had to sit in a Dunkin' Donuts for 3.5 hours and call Tesla roadside assistance because I couldn't see. They took it to the service center and said it would be a few weeks before the wiper motor could be replaced. Once the rain passed, I took the Cybertruck and added some Rain-X for now, but it was super dangerous. Had to open my window and hang out the window to see until I could get to a safe place with the wiper not working.
This is fun.
Literally,
all right.
The scene from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
It's fine. I don't need a windshield. Oh, wait. Now the rain's just getting in my eyes. Well, whatever.
Still the best car I've ever owned.
Best car I've ever owned. Meanwhile, here's what the second recall is about via the AP. In the other recall, a trim piece along the truck bed can come loose and fly off, creating a hazard for other motorists. Tesla says in documents that the trim piece is installed with adhesive and that may not have been done properly at the factory. The company will replace or rework the trim piece so it stays on. Owners will be notified by letter also on August 18th. So yeah, there's just a piece of the truck that's not even bolted on.
It might fall off. Sorry.
It's glued on, and
if it gets hot, which like you're in a stainless steel thing in the summertime.
How are we supposed to know? We started shipping these things in winter and we just didn't, nobody thought maybe in the summertime when it gets warm, the adhesive will melt off and a giant piece of the back of the truck will fly off on the highway. And
nothing like a big piece of stainless steel on the highway, folks.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. This one is good, though, because you always so many times with the Tesla recalls, well, you just download an update.
Yeah, no, these are both physical recalls.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like a lot of people's Cybertrucks are going to be in the service center for a while.
Which is great for me. The less I see on the road, the better.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that it was Penis Man who spray painted all that stuff, but...
well, there are many penis men.
Exactly. Anyways, one last bit of Elon news. It turns out, as we alluded to earlier, he has fathered yet another child, bringing the total number of Elon offspring to 12. Or at least 12 that we know about.
It's probably more.
I would venture to guess many more. The latest one comes via that Neuralink executive that he previously impregnated with twins around the same time that Grimes was also pregnant with one of his kids.
So, yeah, a lot of kids. The man is obsessed with procreating.
It seems
filling the world with tiny Elons.
Seems as though if you're a woman at his companies, you either get fired for some reason, or you get pregnant.
Yeah. Well, those are the women either belong in the home or pregnant with Elon's children.
That's the way he sees it, baby.
Yeah. There was I think it was like Bloomberg. They ran a pretty long piece on like Elon's pro-natalist views and stuff. And he gives money to a bunch of like groups that share his views on this stuff. And it's just very creepy because 100% this is fucking eugenics and it has racial undertones that are
very obvious.
Impossible to ignore once you actually look at the facts about population growth and whatnot. There's absolutely no risk of depopulation unless you only count white people as people.
Mm-hmm. Which it appears he does.
Yeah. Anyways, that's our show.
Oh wait, no, we have an update because we didn't like have to. We updated it on the video. I put it like a comment. You can't just go back and film stuff and insert it. But basically everything that was that came out of that ex-Twitch employee talking about Dr. disrespecting his ban on Twitch 4 years ago was confirmed by not only the Verge report that we quoted that had at least one other person on record, then a Bloomberg report which not only had, I believe, 3 Twitch employees, but also employees from Discord who also bans him, going on the record with their thing. And then he did it himself.
Dr. Disrespect went on Twitter and he admitted.
He admitted.
Although he edited his statement to remove the word minor, but he's like, yeah, so I was sending some some kind of racy messages with a minor, but like,
and then
I didn't intend to do anything. I wasn't gonna have sex.
Literally
with
the
Chris Hansen defense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't gonna do anything. I just brought these wine coolers to hang out.
Yeah. So he admitted he edited. I think there was a couple edits where it was just
he put that out, really thinking like, yeah, this will put this whole thing to rest, and then observing the backlash, just like kept editing slight things like, oh, they're probably reacting to this little phrase here. I'm gonna, okay. Oh, they're still mad.
Easy prediction, alt-right pipeline.
Yeah.
Like already kind of leaning towards that a little bit.
Yeah. No, he was very much like leaning into the.
I haven't watched him in years, but it seemed like
he said a lot of like just like ignorant anti-woke
like
shit.
Nick Merckx or something. Yeah. When he did like the anti-trans stuff.
Yeah.
Or, anyways, alt-right pipeline. Totally see it clear as day. Proof is that like he wrote a big thing where he's like, yeah, it's a minor, and then the quartering was like firm handshakes, and it's like,
yeah,
okay. Then there was another thing.
Actually, it's a hebephilia.
Yeah, there was one where someone had messaged the libs of TikTok like, hey, you're gonna talk about Dr. Disrespect, and got blocked.
Yeah,
like this isn't what they care about.
Here's an actual groomer. It's like confirmed,
and also wears a wig.
Yeah, and brought a camera into a bathroom.
Yeah.
It has everything. This story has everything.
But it's their guy.
But it's not what we were looking for.
Anyways, so that the video, if you want all the backstory of it, it still works as a video of the whole entire saga. So we have that. We also have George Santos doing an OnlyFans for no reason. Yeah. Just to get back
He seems to have now quit Twitter. I don't know. I'm sure that won't
What will he do next? I don't care. Anyways, those are the videos over there. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.